Hi.
Good morning. You start. I thought we were going counterclockwise. We'll go start. We'll start going clockwise. Okay. Go ahead.
Hi.
Go now. Start.
I think we already have hi, so that's good.
All right.
So I don't need to say. I don't need to say hi. This is Gilbert Gottfried, and this is Gilbert Gottfried's Amazing Colossal podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Frank Santopadre. Our guest today is an actor and singer, yes, singer, who has appeared in dozens of films and TV shows, including the movies The Long Kiss Goodnight, Sour Grapes, Scary Movie, and Cinderella Man. His TV work includes Wings, Murphy Brown, Mad About You, Ally McBeal, Sex and the City, Boston Legal, and Damages. He was nominated for a Tony for his memorable performance as Harold Hill in the Broadway revival of The Music Man, and most important, he feels connected to his Jewish heritage. Welcome to the show, our friend Craig Bierko.
Okay, it's the person who wrote it, but it says resented, not
yes.
connected. That's
Yes.
ours. Resents his Jewish.
Yeah, let's see, because I had read this at one point, and I would misquoted it as you were proud of.
How long were you misquoted? You won twice, didn't you?
Yes. So you're not proud of your Jewish heritage.
I am very proud of my Jewish heritage and claim it when it suits me, which sounds offensive, but the Orthodox they get it. The Orthodox gets me. I'm good for the Orthodox.
Now, but your mother...
I'm wearing Orthodoxers.
Are
right
you?
Now. Yeah.
Your mother was a Jew.
Yes, is a Jew. She's still alive.
Well, hey, wait a second. But she stopped being a Jew.
You can't stop being a Jew. You can't stop being a Jew.
I
You can
wish
stop
I
being a
could.
Catholic.
Oh, God.
There's always a closeout.
Well, if
this-
our friend Tom Leopold stopped being a Jew and became a
he-
Catholic.
Well, no, not. If his mother's a Jew, then the people in the synagogue, we're all sharing a private little laugh at Tom's expense because you can't leave.
You can't.
And it's the creepiest term mankind has ever invented, and of course it's credited to the Jews in the eyes of the synagogue. Once a Jew, always a Jew.
That was a sitcom. I started.
Eyes of the synagogue?
No. Once a Jew, always a Jew.
Jack
yes.
Guilford.
It was,
with
yes.
And Bill Macy. Jack Guilford and Bill Macy.
Yeah, that's right.
They were both sloppy. And the network said, you know what? Let's try something else. What if they're both neat? And then 12 years later, they copied the play.
Now, but your mother, born a Jew.
Oh, yeah, right out of the box.
From the book Born a Jew. That was another. That was
Pat Conway.
That,
Says Pat Conway.
Conway, really?
Or Conroy.
Conroy, the Prince of Tides guy.
Yeah.
And so she was born a Jew, out of the box, born a Jew.
Yeah.
And she
out of the nana box.
Yes.
Right hot out of the nana box.
And she became a Roman Catholic.
No. Do you remember a guy named Fulton Sheen?
Bishop Sheen.
Oh,
Bishop,
yes,
sure.
yes.
Fulton Sheen, who was opposite Uncle Milty on your New York television.
And he also, Fulton Sheen had a big dick also.
Is that right?
Much like Milton Berle.
Well, you got it.
He had a gigantic cock.
Yeah, he had a big bishop dick, didn't he? He had a big bishop.
A staff. It was
Yeah,
a big
big staff.
And
A
he
crook.
would pound the bishop every night.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Well, who
yeah,
doesn't?
that was-
You got it.
Yeah.
He has a house that was somewhere around here. I think
Yeah.
there was a big bishop house.
Sheen?
Yeah.
Really?
But he was on TV, and my mother still says, he was so handsome. And it's like, Jesus, what a confusing
That's a
time.
way to shine your bishop with Bishop Sheen. See, we don't pay you, but we'll be sending you a year's supply of Bishop
Sheen. Listen, we understand you're leaving Catholicism. We will have a few parting gifts. Let's tell them what they got, Johnny. They have Bishop Sheen. Clean your bishop with Bishop Sheen. My grandfather on my mother's side, and if I gave you a million chances to guess his last name and literally offered you all the money I had.
Goldberg.
Cumberbatch.
Yes.
You'd never guess his last name.
Talbot.
You don't, not even close. And nothing you say, and if we were here until the end of time, you would never guess it.
Yes.
His name was Distillator.
Distillator?
Phil Distillator, who owned Royal Jackson China. He used to distribute China all over the world, and then people were turning off podcasts all across the country. Right?
Yes.
Anyway, my grandfather was very, very wealthy and said, well, if you're going to be Catholic, because they were Christmas tree Jews.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is they never went to synagogue. There was never any of that. They claimed it. That was how I was taught.
Reformed.
Reformed, not even.
Not even.
It's Reformed and then it's whatever they were and then Catholic.
I see.
Do you know? See, because I was always the kind of Jew. I wasn't bar mitzvahed. Never really followed the holidays, and I like bacon. So your wife, you're not your wife, your mother you married your mother? This is horrible.
When do we start? Have we started?
No, just about 15 minutes ago.
All right.
Okay.
Yes. So all I was saying is that my mother converting was not a big deal in the family because they wouldn't even have to get a new tree or anything. They they had a Christmas tree. They were Jews. That's how seriously they took their religion. But they claimed it. Because you can't leave. It's like the Cosa Nostra. You can't leave.
So is it kind of like if you try to leave Judaism, there's that one Jew goes, he'll be back.
Yeah, there's another door outside.
Yeah.
It's like the Truman Show. There's you think you're outside, but you're not. But he said if she's gonna go Catholic, get me Bishop Sheen. And that's the kind of power he wielded with the plates and the saucers and the teacups from Royal Jackson, China. And my mother went down to, and I think it was around here, he had like a big bishop house. And he used to come down, she would show up for her Catholic lessons. And he was like a big television. Tell them.
Yes.
Yeah, Bishop Sheen. Well, he was a TV star.
Yes.
He had a big show. I didn't know it was opposite Uncle Milty.
I could have done that. I just thought maybe you had.
No, I had no extra information.
And she used to show up, and then a butler would answer the door, and then he would come down in his robes, and vestments, and they would talk about Catholicism.
And one time he opened his robe, and he had a gigantic cock.
Check out my.
Yes.
This is Bishop Schmeckel.
Now, speaking of your parents.
Now, wait, but your mother now is ashamed of being a Jew?
No.
You are?
I am.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed of you.
He's ashamed of being a guest.
Now, you have a large statue of Hitler in your house.
No, I have a tiny little doll of Hitler that Carrie Fisher, yes, that Carrie Fisher, sent me.
Ooh, name drop.
Oh, Did you ever fuck Carrie Fisher?
No.
No, okay.
No.
Did you ever fuck Eddie Fisher?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
I'm fucking him now.
Is it true?
I was bequeathed his foreskin, and I'm wearing it now, so I am.
Now, is it true you would blow Eddie Fisher and he would sing "Oh My Papa"?
While I stood, while I stood in an Ann Taylor bag.
Can you sing?
And
My
someone
Papa?
would, and if you looked under in the bathroom, so say Ann Taylor, you go. Some gay guy has an Ann Taylor bag.
You've done a callback to the Perfecto Telez.
Yes.
Telez. I
George
listen to
Maharis.
every show.
Yes.
And when I say I mean my imagination.
Now, is it
your assistant.
Telez or Telese? I always said Telez. Yeah, he was the guy that blew
George Maharis.
Or George Maharis might have blown him.
I don't know. How does something like that get confirmed?
Oh, wait a second. I was watching a rerun. He's fondling my finger now.
Oh, is that your finger? Okay, I thought something.
Then I'll let it go. I'm sorry. I thought it was your cock.
You have information on Perfecto Telez?
I was watching a rerun of Route 66, not a new one, not one of the new season, that had a different guy. So I guess they replaced George Maharis.
That I didn't know.
Where after he was blowing Perfecto Telese Perfecto Telese.
Don't confuse him with Gay Telese, the author.
Yes, or Telese.
I feel like we're in a shopping cart on a racetrack.
Can you
is this the fucking show? I came in on a train from Ossining. I live with my mother. I'm 50, by the way.
Okay. Yes.
Can I tell you that?
Yes. Oh, my papa, to me you
And now the shopping cart, because it's on the slanty part, is just tilting back and going, and it's slowly
try to get
rolling
a
towards the
question in
middle.
here.
To me you are so grand. Oh, my papa, so gentle and so lovable.
Is that the world you live in where the songs are just one note? Is it just one note all the way through? Sing the national anthem. Oh, say, can you see?
By the dawn's early
I don't know what everybody's talking about. It's a hard song to sing. Gilbert Gottfried hit it out of the park. First time, didn't even warm up.
Now look. So you're ashamed of being a Jew?
No, I'm ashamed of being on this sub-ham radio show that I came all the way in on a train. I paid $26. They said, "Do you want the receipt?" I said, "Do you know where I'm going? I'm going to the end of the line." They're like, Grand Central. I'm like, what's after that? I'm going to the end of the line. This is it.
Let's work in an
actual. My swan song. An empty pool.
Well, that was a traveling Wilburys.
End of the line.
Yeah,
That's right. I love that song.
Yeah,
I like a lot of traveling.
Me too.
Wilburys.
Yes,
We're Jeff Lynne fans.
Yeah, big Jeff Lynne fan.
Yeah.
Big Jeff Lynne. Loved Zoom. Did you like the Zoom?
Yes,
record?
I did. I saw.
And
I
you
was
and
at,
I
I was at a
Zoom.
live. I was at the last officially
The one
LO
at CBS
concert.
Studios?
Yes, I was there.
I'm going to look for you in the crowd. Yes.
And
I'm in the
what
video.
What was that other guy? I can't remember his name. Pretty woman.
Roy Orbison.
Roy Orbison.
I was going to say Bruce Jenner.
And George
other
Harrison.
guy.
Yeah, the other
he was
guy.
in a group.
I would like that.
George
joke would get a better
Harrison.
response.
George Harrison, I think, sang "My Papa."
I don't think so.
But he stole it from
My
Strauss.
Papa.
Let's get to an actual question.
Sure.
Speaking of your parents, is it true or bullshit that your parents gave you a middle name because they expected you to be an actor?
It's the truth.
Yeah, and your middle name is Philip.
No, my middle name is Burt Reynolds.
Really? Wow.
Pronounced Chico. Yes, that is true. But both of my parents wanted to be an actor, but neither of them made a serious go at it. And they ran like the local community theater, the Harrison Players. Why? It's actually my mom
in
ran
Rye,
it.
New York, where you're from.
Yes, we lived in Rye, New York, and so logically, she ran the Harrison Players. I have no idea why, but that was for a couple years. So in the 4th grade, I was an extra, not actually one of the newsboys in Gypsy for the Harrison Players. But they did. They wanted to be actors. I thought, listen, just in case, you never know. Let's not saddle them with a name like Bierko, which just sounds like doesn't sound like show business. So we'll give them middle names and give them a fighting chance. So my middle name is Philip, after my grandfather, Philip Distillator, and my brother's is Lawrence, so he could be Scott Lawrence and I could be Craig Phillips.
So nice of them.
That's the truth.
So you could hear it right away and go, "Oh, that's a phony name."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, who did he blow to get into show business?
So they wanted you to be an actor, or they were just in the event that you became one?
No, they weren't. They were barely there.
Uh-huh.
They didn't want us to be, but it was, I think my mom and dad, when they first got married, they lived in a building with Richard Benjamin and Paula Prentice, and they used to hang
that
out.
true?
And I think
Wow.
they thought, hey, we have similar haircuts, and we're attractive people, we'll be actors also. And but they really didn't take a real stab at it. My dad went into business, and my mother became a housewife, but I guess it was part of their world then. I don't know. It never really occurred to me how odd that was until, right now.
Now let's talk
What's
about
your middle name?
I don't have one.
Jesus, you must have been an untalented little child right out of the box.
Yeah.
Listen, don't even bother with
Yeah,
the
they
middle
didn't
name.
wanna
This
bother.
guy's never going to get an agent.
Yeah, my full name is Gilbert Maury Amsterdam.
Really?
Yes.
So they really did know that you were going to be a
Yes.
comic.
Who was the first comedian that you remember identifying with and going, oh, like, do you have
You mean
Gave
having
you
a
an
heart
aneurysm?
attack
Yeah.
as a
What?
kid?
Who gave you
Like I was 5 years old. And I went,
Oh, Jesus. Chest pain's good? Our chest pain's good? This early? Is that it?
That's a good question. What comic did you first spark to?
Let me see. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, they still would show the old movies on TV, like the Marx Brothers and
Yeah.
the Stooges, Jerry Lewis.
Right.
I loved early on, and
Jerry Lewis was the
yeah,
best.
and so many. I remember the first horror film that I can remember seeing.
What was it?
I think it was Lon Chaney Jr.
That's a surprise.
Yes, of course. I'm a big Lon Chaney Jr. fan. The Indestructible Man.
Oh, I've never seen
And it had Joe Flynn Would later be in McHale's
Of course,
Navy as a mad
of course.
scientist.
And all the Disney movies.
And the bad Disney movies.
And I forget his name, Robert Shea or something.
You mean Inspector Henderson?
Inspector Henderson.
Robert Shane.
Yeah. He was in that.
Yeah. Shayne.
Robert Shane, the House of Un-American Activities, went after him.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, he was a lefty.
Yeah.
I have great respect for him now.
Yeah.
What did you watch as a kid? You grew up around.
So you're not even going to wander close to the
around
question.
here?
No.
I
He's not
asked you
going
a question. He's
Well, he
talking
said he
about-
gave it to you.
fact-
He gave it to you.
in-
Groucho and Jerry Lewis.
In fact,
But I said, what was the first? Was there a comedian? And he just listed people.
He's
that
asking
he's
you
heard
a
of.
question.
someone told me, this my other crazy friend, Asherman. He said when they were going after Robert Shane, the producer of Superman said to them, I produce a show where every week there's a man standing in front of the American flag who stands for truth, justice, and the American way. So let's go fight each other and see who the public stands with.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I hope that story is true.
Yeah.
And if you look, his left foot's right in Chile.
Yeah.
Which I think it's the Illuminati. I think there were some messages.
Can we
being sent.
talk about the
Fuck,
dumbest fucking move you've ever made in your life?
Jesus, start somewhere.
Other than this show.
The dumbest.
Other than agreeing to this.
I thought you said movie, but move.
Yeah, no, move.
Okay.
You turned down the part of Chandler Bing on Friends.
He's really going for it, Craig.
No,
Yes.
no.
Yeah.
This is a misconception. I'd like to clear this up right now. I turned down the role of Rachel. Because I said, and listen, I went to school with Schwimmer, and I said, I'm not very uncomfortable with some of the inferences. First of all, he said, Rachel, if you have a Puerto Rican accent, it's fine. There are men named Rachel in Puerto Rico. And I was like, well, schmuck. So I went in for the meeting, and they said, okay. And there was a hair guy there. He's showing me this stupid wig, this like Beatle, like comb over Bob Denver wig. And I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, it's all right. You're not playing a woman, but you're if you play a Puerto Rican, your name could be Rachel. Just try the wig on. And this dress, which if you were Scottish, you'd wear a dress. So they had this. An hour later, I'm sitting there in a fucking dress with a wig, and they got me in a falsetto voice. I said, I can't do this. Do you know who I almost am? I can't do this. And no, the truth is I had a deal with NBC. The network, the television network.
Yes. Oh, that.
Yes. And
I got confused.
At the time, they had a network,
Yes.
and that meant that it was a holding deal. So they hold you. You can't audition for CBS or what's the other one? ABC. Fox was an upstart, a new network. And they pay you a certain amount of money, and that means you have to do one of their shows. And so you go to meetings and people pitch you shows and you feel like a big shot because you're making as much money as a dentist and you're just sitting on your ass getting bored and, going to meetings. And then at the end of the season, that's when they roll out the really good shows. Now, I was choosing between a show that at the time was called 6 of 1, which later became Friends, and another show called Best Friends. So I'm not a dummy, because they're not allowed to say, do this show, don't do this show, because they don't know what they're going to pick up, but they know which shows. Look, we got all really talented writers here, and we got a really talented writer here, but this show skews young, this show skews a little older. So they're not allowed to do that. So they're sending me a little message. Are you going to do, here's Friends, read this script over the weekend, here's Best Friends. Okay? So I read it, and Friends was it's a very funny sketch, but honestly, my reaction was, it's kind of, it's Seinfeld. It was Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah.
And the part of Ross was taken by David Schwimmer, very good actor. I saw that. And actually, I was very good friends with Matthew Perry, who figures in the story later. Hold on. He figures in the story.
You had done a show with Matthew.
Circle back. I'll circle back, but just keep that. Put a pin in that name.
Okay.
Matthew
Let
Perry.
me write this down.
And Hank Azaria. And I took them out to breakfast. I said, I've got our show. Because we were friends, very tight, hung out. I said, this was before they cast Schwimmer. I said, I want him to play Ross. Hank is going to play Joey. And you would be a perfect Chandler. And I did say this. We went out to breakfast.
Yeah.
They read the script. They liked it. Now, Matthew was doing a show had already booked a show called LAX 2000. This is how long ago it was. 2000 was still in the future. Wow. And LAX, big popular airport, LAX. LAX 2000, he was a baggage handler in the future working with robots, and it was going to be hijinks. Now, this is like...
Wow.
Right? So that's what the show he was... Now, they shot the pilot, I believe, and I think they were like, action, they did a scene, and then the network went, of course not. Like, it was the quickest decision they ever made. Like, he went, hey, where's the robot with the Samsonite? Stop it. Of course not. We got 5 talking dog shows. What are you doing? So they stopped, and he was free. Now, in the meantime, while he was shooting that show, I had to go in and audition for Friends and Best Friends. Now, you say, wait. If you were awake, you would say, wait. Didn't you have a deal?
I wasn't listening.
Didn't you have? I know you're not even facing me.
Yeah.
And I can't tell whether your eyes are open.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
He's going to have work done to close them more. Close them more. So anyway, I had to go in an audition. I said, but wait, I have a deal. And they went, yeah, but we don't care. These are good shows. You'll have to audition with everybody else. I'm like, then why do I have a deal? And they're like, exactly. And it's like all they do is just say fuck you in very polite ways. That's all they do. We have a deal that makes you exclusive? Sure. What do I get? Well, you're exclusive. Pick of the shows. Well, what about the good ones? No, you got to audition for the good ones. Like everybody else, you might not get them. And then you got to give part of the money back, right? It's ridiculous. So I have Best Friends and Friends. I read them both. Now I go in on meetings. I audition for Joey. They're like, and it's clear I'm not Joey. I'm like,
Yeah.
And then I auditioned for Chandler. Now, when I went in and auditioned for Chandler, my God's honest truth, I said, I went in and I imitated Matthew Perry. Which is by now, but you just sort of, you hit a word that people wouldn't normally hit. I went to that. But, whatever. Yeah. I remember there was some, and I remember the moment when I got it. There was some joke about, I dreamt I didn't have a penis. He's at the Central Perk or whatever. Yeah. I dreamt I didn't have a penis. And they said, what did you have? And he said, there was a phone down there, and it was ringing. And they said, a phone? And I went, yes, sir. I just improvised, yes, sir. And they all looked at each other, and I was like, I got the part. And I did. I got the part. Which was a non-event because I thought, shouldn't I just have the part? Anyway, because I have a deal. But I had to win the part. I won the part. And then the next day I went and I auditioned for Best Friends. I thought, this is going to be great. They're going to put fruit out. They're going to put fruit out. There'll be a table with, tapas. I'll have, there'll be a chef making omelets. And if I feel like auditioning, I'll audition, And I went in and I met this guy, Alan Katz, who is the loveliest, funniest, sweetest guy. And this show was about a young father who's married to this great woman but he's a stay-at-home writer, and they found this unbelievably talented girl who'd never done anything from the Midwest. And I met her, and she was like 9 or 10 years old. She was so talented, I don't remember her name, because I think she left show business, because, the pilot didn't go, and she didn't care. And she was so good, and we had such a nice chemistry, and I thought, I want to do this, I want to do this show. I want to play this father. I want to work with this guy, Alan Katz. I really like him. I liked the people from Friends, but I thought, this just feels like Seinfeld. I didn't think it won't or will. I didn't, that's the thing is, after I said no, cut to me a couple of months later, Friends has replaced Christianity. Crusades, thousands of years, biblical stories, people dying, entire countries flooded with blood, name changes of entire countries. This show comes along, and Catholic people go, this is better. Everybody's like, there'll be this in Jewish people. And this it features Jewish people. Yeah. It's all about Jewish people. It's working. The plan is working. So, but you don't know that. What you have is 2 scripts and a best guess, So I knew from the beginning. Now, it was weird because Matthew was freed up after, LAX 2000. Was freed up and went in and auditioned, and he won the part. I don't know who he imitated. I would be upset if he imitated me, quite frankly. But the fact of the matter is, I really do remember going in and thinking, this is Matthew. And I did actually say, Matthew, Hank, we should all do this together. And it ended up kind of working out that way.
Well, Azaria wound up on the show, too.
And he
later.
ended up doing the show.
Yeah.
They offered me, they were very nice. They offered me, occasionally, like guest star roles. I remember the first one was, there's an episode where there's a guy who's talking. I think he's one of the girls is going out with him, and he's talking to them, and he's got his leg up and his testicles hanging out of his shorts. And I said, I can't have the cast of Friends. I'm okay with this. It's weird because I walk into restaurants now. I'm the guy in Hollywood who everybody knows he passed on Friends. Like I took a tumor, and bit into it like an apple, going, what the fuck? Like I'm some lunatic. Why'd you pass on Friends? Like, 'cause it was just a pilot. Why'd you get on the plane that crashed? What are you, crazy? Yeah, I should have. Well, come to think of it, I should have just gone to Denver. Like, what? That's so crazy. But that's the way everybody thinks. I went into a meeting, because I signed a deal with a studio the next year. And I went into a meeting, and the casting woman started the meeting with, you passed on Friends? I was like, that's a nice start. That's how you start?
That's a great opening.
Yeah, but that's Hollywood.
And it's kind of like everybody knew Friends was going to be the biggest hit of all time.
And the thing is, you can't regret something that I remember.
I regret having you on as a guest.
I regret being here, and I regretted it. And I'll tell you something. I regretted your birthday party, which was wonderful. And it was like, this is nothing against the party.
That was a good party.
There's nothing against the party. But while you went around, we didn't really know each other, which I thought, in 10 years, there's a 10-year difference. I'll be 70.
Yes.
If I'm inviting you to my 70th, take me out.
Something's wrong.
Take me out. I'm sure you'll be 80. First of all, you'll be 80. You wouldn't know it anyway. You'd be sitting there drooling, facing the wrong way, eating mayonnaise on your face.
Hey, can you say, oh, my God, as Matthew Perry? I remember.
Oh, my God. Right? It's like that.
Very
now,
good.
Pretty good.
By the way, Matthew is a really talented. The second I met Matthew, we did a show called Sydney. Valerie Bertinelli's triumphant return to television in 1990s something. And Matthew was like 9, and he was like 22 years old. And I remember meeting him. I have a very clear image, and he made me. That's my agent. I got to take this. I might have a podcast. And I'm doing it now. How do you think it's going? He's screaming. It's like it's like sitting with Al Lewis being electrocuted. It's mind-numbing. I'll call you later. Oh, God. Get the fucking work. Do something. My agent. Mother.
Yeah.
Anyway. No.
You were doing Sydney with Valerie and Matthew.
And I met I met Matthew, and listen, I was 25, and I knew funny people. Not a lot of, but there were. But I was a big comedy fan, like you. Like Marx Brothers. I grew up, and I said, this guy is amazing. This is one of the funniest guys I've ever met. He had such, I don't know what it was, rage or whatever the hell it is, but it was like barely contained anger, and he had this like very knife sharp precision dental instrument like delivery. And right from the beginning, I just thought, this guy's amazing. He's the best thing on this show, which he was in the Sydney. It was the best thing on Friends. And if I got Friends, I would have gotten it imitating that guy. That's, I think he's I think he's a gifted and completely unique, like, and it because by the end of that show, everybody's talking like Matthew Perry. And then it was weird because in 3 weeks, the country was talking like Matthew Perry. That was strange. And the only thing I thought is, that there have been leaner years where I thought, what would help right now is 40 million. Yeah. That would come in handy.
Is it only 40?
There was never a moment where I
more than
looked
40.
at Friends and thought, because you know what? If I was could you imagine? First of all, I'm a colossus. I'm like 6'5". I'm like an inch under Monster. I'm like Monster. I think is 6'6". I'm 6'4". 6'6" is Monster. Frankenstein. With that cast, they're all, they're tiny little pen people. They're thin little tiny pen people. I would have looked like a.
Well, what happened to them? What happened to them offering you guest parts?
They offered a couple. And
Ugly naked guy, something.
No. The one that I remember was I can't be the guy with his legs open
With his ball
and
hanging out.
And the cast of Friends staring at my testicle just feels weird. You know?
Gilbert would have done
Sure,
that.
when I
He
do
would have
it
done that. He would have done that part in a second.
Yeah.
Now, this most importantly. Have you ever fucked Jennifer Aniston?
Remind me. Now, I know the kid. Now, listen, it's a talented cast. Remind me. Is she the one that whenever I have my hair set,
Yeah.
they have a lot of magazines.
Yeah,
and
she's the one.
How much, do you know, there's got to be more paper dedicated to Jennifer Aniston's life than the medical,
And her
than
hair.
any medical
Yeah.
textbooks. Oh, if you took all the medical textbooks and all the spiritual texts and added them up next to magazines telling you about Jennifer Aniston, which one do you think would use more paper?
And how many times have they used that term? I hate the term camp. Anything where they go.
Well,
camp
yeah, as a Jew, listen,
yeah.
you have a natural sensitivity. Of course you do. Of course you do.
Like when they go Camp Aniston and Camp Jolie.
Oh, I see.
Or
Which
when they
camp
used
you're
to
in.
go Camp Jay Leno, Camp Coco.
Do you hate portmanteaus as well, where they combine the names?
Oh, yes,
With
yes.
Brangelina?
All that shit.
Oh, God,
Couples.
horrible.
All that shit just says we should have stopped. People are supposed to live till 30.
Yes.
We're running out of shit to do, so
I
we come up
also-
with camp this, camp that.
I also hate Baby Bump.
Baby bump.
Yeah,
Okay.
horrible.
You don't like that.
horrible. That's in the
How
pop
about
culture.
canoodling?
Canoodling, horrible. MILF.
MILF? You're
Yeah.
okay with MILF.
Yeah, no,
What
MILF
about
I
gilf?
can't
What about
stand.
gilf?
Yeah,
Gilf.
Gilf. Yes.
Well, that's actually,
That's
if
feel-
you're masturbating, you're guilt.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh, are you in camp? Which camp are you in? Well, it's just a disturbing camp. You don't want a part of that camp.
Now let's talk about Cinderella Man.
Let's go.
Because you don't want to talk about fucking Jennifer Aniston.
Why are you referring to her like fucking Jennifer Aniston?
Fucking Jennifer.
Who are you, Danny Aiello?
Hey,
How funny was that guy?
fucking Jennifer
Secretly
Aniston.
hilarious.
That was a great episode, wasn't it?
Secretly hilarious Danny Aiello. I
min-
listened to that
2
show and I
minutes.
thought, I want to have lunch with Danny Aiello he's so fucking funny.
It can be arranged.
And
Were
he
you
was-
on that
he-
show, or was that before you were on? I have no memory of you on that show.
He was punching me throughout the whole
He
show
was. He was hitting
in that
Oh.
real guinea way of hey, hey.
mother
look.
does that.
Yeah, hey,
My mother
hey.
started going boom.
Yeah,
I said, Mom, I'm a trained pretend boxer. I'll take you out.
Yeah.
Stop hitting me. I got reflexes.
And
Like
it was so he was everything. Every time he's making a point, he'd start punching
Yeah.
me.
2 minutes into the show, he calls Scorsese a dwarf.
oh, I remember that.
Because Gilbert's first question was, "Who do you hate?" And he just ran with it.
He just had
It was
this
such a great
wonderful
episode.
and it was just he was just.
And
just,
he read off the train
That was the best.
schedule,
Yeah,
which
because
was
he
brilliant.
used to be the dispatcher for the MTA.
Oh yeah.
He read the entire train schedule.
We were thrilled
Oh,
with
he's
that.
beautiful.
Now, so Cinderella Man.
And one more thing about Aiello, the movie Once Around. I saw 2 movies ever. 2 movies I went the following day to
with
see it again.
Richard Dreyfuss and
was
Holly
The Deer
Hunter.
Hunter. I was like, I can't believe because that movie was
Yeah.
told in real time.
Yes.
And it was like that. But I went again because I loved it so much. And then Once Around, I was like, that was entirely delightful from start to finish. Did you ever see Once Around? And he is so funny. And that Danny Aiello is so brilliant in that. You haven't seen it.
I've seen bits and pieces.
No,
Is
you don't
that
have to
where?
lie. You don't have to lie. Just say you
that's
didn't
where.
see it.
No, that's where Richard Dreyfuss.
Yes.
makes a speech at one point at the wedding.
That's
a
right.
Totally
He's sort of overstepping his bounds.
inappropriate
Danny Aiello
speech.
does this one thing where he wakes up. Oh God, I can't remember what he says, but he wakes. Anyway, he's so brilliant in that movie.
He's
And I
good
went
at-
back and
he's
I went.
good at
I
it.
just came to see this actor. I just wanted to spend time with this character again. He was so great.
Yeah, but if you remember that episode, everything we talked about, all the good work he did, he just drove it down. We said Moonstruck. He said, "Oh, what a piece of shit."
Oh really? Oh, I like that movie.
Yeah.
I like that movie a lot. I like anything he's in.
He's funny.
Everything he's in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now-
Underrated.
Why am I kissing his ass? Can he help me?
No, but you can have lunch with him at the Friars.
I would love to. Have
Now,
him.
God
Hello.
damn it.
Hello, Angry Gilbert. America's never seen
Yes.
Scorsese.
Yeah.
Get in a.
Yeah. So in Cinderella Man, you played Max Baer,
Yes.
and now
Max Baer Sr., father
Max
of Jethro.
Baer Sr.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you could say Max Baer and-
Whose son would later be on Beverly Hillbillies.
Correct.
Yes, he would.
Yeah.
Yes, he would.
Now,
Buddy Ebsen.
in the movie, Max Baer is made to look really obnoxious
Yes.
and like a mean guy.
Yeah.
And but I heard it wasn't like that.
Not at all. The more I researched, which is my term for they sent me film and I looked at it.
Yeah.
I never stood up. I had somebody turning it on and off. I didn't, I don't mean to imply I worked.
Someone else watched it and you said,
Yes,
so what?
my
did it look
imaginary
like to you?
assistant Keith said, listen, this guy's interesting. And I went, tell me something I don't fucking know. Everybody I play is interesting. Get me an egg.
I love that you have an imaginary assistant.
He's very good. Keith, bit of a prick. Lives with his brother. So we have a lot in common.
So you researched it, or Keith researched it.
And he was first of all, they tried to make this guy a movie star because he was so charming. And this was pre like heavyweight, that the boxing industry wasn't like it had been, what's his name, King with the
Don King.
Don
yeah.
King. That had all. So heavyweight fighters were just still meat and potato guys. They'd fight. They didn't fight like once every 3 years. They fought like 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And they were just swollen people. And the gloves were like closer to like isotoner mittens. They were just something you had to cover your knuckles, but just a little bit more padding. And these guys would really knock the shit out of each other. And they'd fight a couple times a week. He was first of all, he was a fascinating guy. He was the Livermore Lip, and I think he got this strong right because he grew up in Livermore, California, and he grew up slaughtering cattle with a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Like you did. Where did
Yeah.
you grow up?
Same, you had the same childhood.
So it was like watching Channel 9, only with a sledgehammer and a cattle.
Yeah, I ate a hamburger, so
there
it's
you go.
kind
So
of
it's kind of this. So
yeah,
you know where this guy's.
similar.
Yeah, you could get in this
Yeah.
guy's skin. So he grew up killing, and he developed this right, and that was, he killed a couple of guys arguably because he hit them so hard in the head that their brain was hanging by a thread, and the next day they're having a conversation, and then they just went, uh-oh, and then they died. It did that twice. And
One guy who died later and one guy who died in the ring,
there's a
right?
scene, yeah. And but it wasn't instant. It wasn't like he hit him and his lights went out. There's a moment where they're like, I think I'm, and then they die. It's a scary thing. I forget what it's called, but he did hit the guy so hard his brain fell off, And they had discovered while we were shooting the movie that he did go and try to warn him. He went out to where he knew he was eating, I think, and he said, listen, I don't want to, you got it, I think he felt he had like a rifle on his arm. And an acting coach that I worked with, an acting coach I worked with came up with that metaphor, and I thought that's really good. It's like he knew that he could kill this person, and he did not want to do that. And he knew, I think when he went to the restaurant to talk to, why am I blanking on the character's name? But
Braddock.
When he went to talk to Braddock, he really truly was warning him. But they played it in the movie. Listen, you needed to have a villain, and you have a formidable actor who America looks at and is an icon, an avatar for selfhood and strength, maleness. Russell Crowe. The guy who he's opposing has to be formidable. So there really wasn't time for me to be charming and nice. I had to be a bit of a prick. And I understand that. I think there were moments in the movie where I was allowed to fart out a little humanity, but I was very aware that Max Baer Jr. would see this. And that, listen, who doesn't have father issues? But if somebody made a movie about my father and showed only the bad stuff, I'd have a problem.
Did he ever contact you? He's a truther, by the way, Max Baer.
My father?
Max Baer Jr.
No, Max Baer Jr. never contacted me, and I was told not to. He wasn't going to be part of the research, which I understand. We were making a movie, and this was a fictional account of a real event, and but I did read. He did an interview, and he was very complimentary about the work, but he did have an issue with the way that his father was presented, and I don't think he was unright, but he said he took note of the little things like his father would hit some guy and he didn't like to have sweat on his gloves, so he'd always wipe the sweat off on his shorts. Little things like that. He said he saw and that was pleasant to see and feel like he was seeing his dad. That made me very proud. But the script and all that stuff that's not my issue. I can't control any of that, how he's perceived. But I do try, whenever I talk about it, I do say, look, it's a movie.
Of course.
Because he was a truly charming guy. They did try to he was so charming and good looking, they tried to make him a movie star. He did a movie called what was it? The Prize Fighter and the Lady. Literally, they were like, "We need a title. We're opening." Shit. They thought so little of this movie that they didn't even title it. They were like, "Prize Fighter and the Lady, put it up."
Yeah.
And it was called Prize Fighter and the Lady. And he dances, he sings.
Yeah, by all accounts, he was a likable guy.
Very, very, very likable.
Yeah.
But there's a big
Yeah.
dance. I mean, his life story would be great. I think he died kind of early. I still want to do something with, now that I'm a little bit older. I would love to do, even if it's a stage thing, revisit the character and fill it out more and tell a story, because he's a truly, truly elegant guy before boxing had any of that. There was no Muhammad Ali. In fact, he fought Joe Louis, and you can actually see like two kinds of. He fought Joe Louis, and I think Joe Louis beat him at Yankee Stadium, and it was like two different types of boxing meeting each other. It was like, did you ever see those Cavett shows with the comedians? And Bill Cosby's on with Jack Benny.
Oh, yeah.
And you're watching, it's a completely unique moment. Jack Benny looking at Bill Cosby on television for the first time, and he's stunned, and he's under Bill Cosby's, Bill Cosby's doing this bit about drumming, which is great. And you're watching Jack Benny see new comedy coming. It's that's what it was like, this box. It was a different era.
I did an episode of Cosby, and for some reason Milton Berle stopped by at the set. I don't know.
The actor?
Yeah. Yeah. No, Milton Berle, a lumberjack.
He's a good lumberjack too.
And I was standing there watching Bill Cosby and Milton Berle talk to each other.
Oh, yeah.
And they both talked in shtick, Cosby would do like a long, drawn-out funny story, and Milton Berle would go for like the quick laugh.
Slap
and
him.
Slap
Right.
him and do a buck-toothed face with his tongue sticking out. And it was like a lesson in two forms of comedy.
Are you ever afraid when these guys age that they'll be having some sort of a seizure and people go, it's just like their show. It's just, he's drooling. Don't commit like this. We're just out at a restaurant.
Well,
What happened?
two comedians died, Dick Shawn
That's right.
and Park Your Carcass,
yeah.
and the audience laughed and
Right.
applauded
Right, both
when
times.
they dropped dead.
Well, Park Your Carcass, who was Albert Brooks's father,
Yeah.
and Super Dave Ivine, didn't he die at a roast? At a Fridays roast?
And I think he sat
Yes,
down in his
for
seat.
Lucy
yeah,
and Desi.
Lucy and Desi.
Yeah, he sat down in his seat.
Arnez and Ball, we
and
should
then
say.
put his head down really quick. And they thought,
thought it was
he's
a bit.
playing it. Yeah, he's so funny.
That's how you're going to go, the middle one of the
Yeah.
podcast.
Okay. And-
Crick will
and-
keep talking.
And Dick Shawn.
That's not a problem.
We'll just applaud.
We'll be two guests in. Does Gilbert smell funny? It's a bit of the smell keeps getting a little bit more tart.
You said you had spoken about fighting with Norman Mailer.
I met Norman Mailer.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
who in your press office turned into a fight. I don't know what kind of.
You're-
we got
you're
bad
assistant
info. We
Keith.
got bad
Sexing up the
info
story.
from
I'll beat
Keith.
the shit out of him
Yes.
later.
Well, he knew a lot about
But
boxing.
he was the one who was talking about how fighters, if they killed someone,
Yes. Norman Mailer was there. That was truly exciting, and that was a moment where I wish I read. You're sitting there going Norman Mailer, and everybody's like, Norman Mailer's there, and like, I'm in the movie, and he knows about fighting. He's going to talk to me, and I wish I had read anything he'd done.
I wish Gilbert had read the notes.
Yes.
Oh yeah, but that's
how
the
you
charm.
feel.
That's the charm.
Yeah.
No, you guys have a Dean and Jerry thing.
Now-
Not Lewis and Martin.
Thank you. Dean
Yeah,
Jones.
'cause
Different people
Dean
who happen to be named
Dean Jones and Jerry Van Dyke.
Jerry. They've never met, and there's no chemistry.
He's
But
Dean's-
you're them.
He's Dean Stockwell.
Dean Stockwell and Dean Stockwell with Jerry
Col-
Hauser.
Jerry Colonna.
Yes.
Jerry Colonna.
It's a possibility.
What if they got together? Nothing. Let's go.
Now, But Braddock and Bayer became friends.
Well, there are pictures of them together at fights. They would go and they'd hang out with each other. So that's why there's not going to be, I guess, Cinderella Man 2.
Yeah.
You can't do it without Harold Ramis.
Yeah.
I agree.
I hear Murray's interested.
I agree.
Okay, now is Russell Crowe as big a prick as he's made out to be in the press?
He is I'll tell you something about Russell Crowe. I'll tell you something about Russell Crowe. There are actors who I believe they subconsciously superheat the environment that they're working in. And I'm not even kidding. I'm not joking.
Yes.
And they kind of create an atmosphere that feeds the movie, and that's what it was. He was never outright, Eddie. It was a very tense environment, and it was like I would walk in and there'd be tension. I'd be like, what cologne do I have on? There's tension, but it was a natural tension. I never met him under any other circumstance. I'm sure if maybe if we do an Apollo 12 movie and we have to be stuck in a capsule together and counting on each other, he'd be a best friend. I'd be like, Russell, you got to stop calling. And it'd be like Newhart and Rickles, and I'd be like, I don't want to travel with you.
Do the Sunshine Boys together.
Right, yeah. We'll do the Sunshine
I'd like
Boys
to see
together.
that.
We'll do the female outcome. Yeah. But it was also, it just fed the movie. It was not without its challenges, but it's the first time I'd ever spent that much time next to somebody who's a really huge star, and I'm talking about somebody who they got to build a little tunnel from the trailer to the auditorium where we're shooting because there are that many people hiding to take pictures. Like I've never had to deal with that, and I would imagine if I did, it'd be a little on edge. And I've dealt with so little of that, but there were times where I was like, not now. And the woman at Starbucks would go, I just am handing you coffee. I'm just a person. I can't go to the mall. I have to deal with that. I can't go to the mall because by the time I catch up to everybody, I explain who I am, all the shops are closing. You know what it is? That kind of fame? That's what I have. So tell me again, because no, it's not the guy. No,
was he not trying to create attention because of your characters? Was he trying to?
I don't know because we never sat down, and he said, "Listen, there was a moment like that." But I walked out of there, and there was some interview where I said, because I think he had turned 40, and I was like the person who wasn't invited. I thought, oh, this is a thing, and he saw that, and he was like, he's imagining it, which maybe I was. Maybe he is one of those actors who. Because I happen to think that someone like Pacino or Brando or Russell Crowe, any of these people, they're just good actors. It's the way that life coughed them up good actors. And some of them, like even if I just don't buy that the studio made Pacino, I think the studio probably maybe helped him along or buffed some raw edges. But I think basically acting studios and teachers are a bit of a sham.
Interesting.
They can, not all the way. They're very, very helpful, but when the studio taking credit for a whole group of people, I just don't buy it. I think when I went to acting school and I went in to Northwestern and I went in and the people who were good on the first day were the people who were good on the last day, and the people who were terrible worked harder than anybody else, and they were terrible. But I've made it despite how bad I am.
You don't have great respect for acting schools, then?
I have respect for great acting teachers. I think that's credible. I think that's true. And acting coaches, but an acting school where you go in for 4 years and you study acting. Looking back on it, and I can only look at it. Is it subjectively? I don't know. You went to college. That's what you did where I grew up.
But you went
to
for journalism.
But everybody else, originally I went to journalism because I was scared to go into acting, and I thought, I'll do the news. That's in front of a camera. That's how stupid
I see.
I was.
We interviewed Larry Storch from F Troop.
The actor?
Yeah, the actor. Yeah. And Larry Storch said he was friends with Buddy Hackett, the actor.
Is this going so badly that you're actually...
Yeah, he's bringing back old episodes.
You're just showing clips from past shows?
No,
but you can't afford the clips, so you're just going to talk?
Yeah.
Tell the same fucking story?
So Larry Storch said he asked Buddy Hackett. He said to Buddy Hackett, the comedian, that he was thinking of taking acting lessons, and Buddy Hackett said to him, taking acting lessons is kind of like learning how to drive in a garage.
Interesting. I like that.
The first show I ever did was a show called Our House.
With Wilford Brimley.
Jesus, you're a freak. How do you know that?
I do research.
Does he have diabetes, Wilford Brimley?
I don't care. I don't care. I'm not.
Because in the commercial, he claims he does.
Okay. Well, you're stopping your own show.
No, I don't
mean,
care.
the podcast arguably is, you've stopped it, but you're stopping within a stop. So just let me help you. Let me help you.
It's too late.
Do you know who I almost am?
Let me help you help you.
It was the first show I ever did, and I played opposite Bill Huddleston.
Bill Huddleston.
Did I come up with a reference?
I know. Wait a minute. I know
guys?
David Huddleston. We talking about David
I was
Huddleston?
wrong, David Huddleston.
David Huddleston from Blazing Saddles.
Yes. God damn it. Oh, I was gonna be like
The Big
Fonzie.
Lebowski.
Oh, shut up. Anyway, David Huddleston. He played my father in this episode.
Don't mess with me, Bierko.
I won't mess with you. That was a knife fight, and I lost.
I
got
know
cocky,
shit.
and I deserved this cut. I deserved the cut.
Yeah.
There's a cut man coming.
I'll suture it myself.
David Huddleston. Big fan.
Yes, and he's and very, very good. And I'm between scenes, and I'm talking to Jeffrey with a G Huddleston. No, Bill Huddleston, and he's told me a story. I asked him about where'd you study? Some stupid question like that. He said, "Is it method? What do you think about it?" He goes, "I'll tell you about method. Method is standing in a charcoal gray suit in a rainstorm while you." I'll start the story again. Are you going to Foley that out? You can't Foley over gold. No, I'm kidding. Okay. All right. Okay. So he says, I'll tell you what method. Method is like standing in a charcoal gray suit in the middle of a rainstorm while you're pissing in your pants. It's a nice warm feeling inside. Nobody knows what the fuck you're doing. That's the greatest Michael Huddleston imitation.
Michael Huddleston.
Yeah.
I heard James Cagney had said that exact same thing.
Maybe he was quoting
So
James
this
Cagney.
Huddleston was a fucking lying
Huddleston,
prick.
get his name right. He's one of America's most important.
Huddleston was a lying fucking prick, and James Cagney said it first.
Oh, I still haven't finished the Bishop Sheens.
I don't
Wait a minute.
care.
Let's go back
I
to Wilford
stopped
Brimley.
listening.
We haven't even turned the mics on, as Gilbert likes to say. Go back to Wilford Brimley. You did Our House.
And he had diabetes, or he lied about having diabetes.
You joke, but I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care.
And didn't you go back to working in a restaurant after you did Our House? And you were
Our House.
You were afraid of something.
Yes. Well, I did the episode of Our House, and it was 1988, before the war, turn of the century, 1988. Gasoline-powered cars.
Yes.
Telephones on walls, and the writer's strike. Do you remember the writer's strike?
Sure.
Were you in show business?
88.
We had a writer's strike, and that everything shut down. And you realize, there's no reason for Los Angeles to exist, because if show business shuts down, then nobody's sending flowers, nobody's riding limousines, nobody's doing anything. It's just rows of houses and apartments of actors jacking off, and that's all it is. One big booth. Of
I
people
do
going,
that with or without a strike.
You've always been at home,
Yeah.
second home, and I just thought,
crossed picket lines to do
went
it.
back to. What'd you say?
He's crossed picket lines to do it.
While he's doing it.
While he's doing it.
And gotten off on it.
They have
He
a
seeks
big-
out certain picket lines.
Sometimes when I'm jerking off, there's a big inflatable rat outside my house. And that's how you know I'm jerking off. When you see the large mechanical
lamp in the window.
inflatable
You
rat.
you joke, and
Don't
it's
come in.
self-deprecating, and everybody loves self-deprecating, but you were wonderful as that character. The big air-filled rat. What movie was that? What was that? The kids love that movie, but the parents like it too because it makes points that are prescient.
Did you ever fuck Wilford Brimley?
When was I not fucking Wilford Brimley?
God. So
What
back
was
to,
that? I mean, he was, what a,
now Wilford
I'll
Brimley
tell you
won't do
something
the
about
show.
her. She was welcoming and distant. That was her charm.
So back to the Our House story, real quick.
Yes, I had done one episode of a show, and then the writer's strike hit. I came back home, and I'm living at home with my mother, which is so funny because I've come such a long way. Because now I'm 50 and I'm living at home with my mother. But I had to get a job, so I worked at the American Festival Cafe, which is what happens to the ice rink. When people aren't skating, they put the thing down.
Oh, 30
and
Rock.
Tourists come,
right.
Spend a lot of money for a club sandwich, and because they're tourists and they'll never see you again, you don't get tipped. And so you've been trying to communicate what a club sandwich is to some German person, and then sweating your face off, running back and forth with a guy in the kitchen going, "Will you take it over with our French fries? You fuck!" And then running back out and going, fries are coming, and they're going, Klaus, 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 and then they leave, and you get no money, and then you're depressed. And I thought, I look like an idiot, and it's that guy from that episode of Our House. That was my fear.
Somebody was going to have seen Our House and recognized
Didn't happen. It wasn't a problem. But I was 22, and I thought, well, it's over. I peaked. I'm not even going to get like a Jack Palance Westerns in Europe phase. You know, it's like
No, Leone's not going to call.
I just got a plane ride home. I got kicked out of show business, and I'm giving German people club sandwiches. Who are you? I know you're from somewhere.
Now, you were in an absolutely horrible movie.
I was working?
written by Larry David.
You didn't. Now, you thought that was horrible?
I thought
Sour
it was
Grapes.
horrible. Yeah, it was.
Why
pretty
did you
bad.
think it was horrible?
It wasn't funny.
Oh, I don't. Was that me?
It sucked to high heaven.
Hey, Larry. Yes. He said his ears were burning. That's right. Yeah, I'm talking to Frank Santopadre. He finished the name when I said it.
That's
Frank
great.
Santopadre and Gilbert Gottfried. Gottfried. Two T's. Comedian came up with him. The improv, right? And,
He's written for him.
Were you the improv or were you, the comic den? Which one were you? What camp? What camp were you? Anyway, the phone bit's over.
Okay.
That's my
You've
brother.
both had Larry David write for you. He wrote a pilot for Gilbert.
I was in a pilot called Norman's Corner.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
On Cinemax.
Almost as funny as Sour Grapes.
Well, I'll tell you this. If Sour Grapes, I agree that Sour Grapes kind of missed. Weber and I were like, this is going to be like the producers. Buckle up.
Yeah.
Buckle up. And whenever, because this is, get all the mall walking in now because those days are gone. You are never going to walk
in that movie. There's some good moments.
Can we use that on the one sheet?
Yeah, take it.
They have their moments. But you know what? When I read the script, and if you read the script, it's there was a giant funny on every page somewhere in the cooking, and I lack the the ability to look at myself to blame myself, so it can't be me.
Two very funny guys, you and Steven.
I don't know what it was. I do know he directed it, and there were, maybe he shouldn't have directed it. I don't know. I do know that these. I'll tell this story, and I don't remember his name, but he did tell me that he chose the cinematographer. He interviewed a lot of people and chose the cinematographer because he was the shortest one and felt he could lord over him.
It's a good reason.
Also, after the first day of shooting, he sat down with me alone. He went, listen, and I didn't, oh, God, I'm fired. He went, listen, I'm going to start chewing with my mouth closed because I'm 50. What the fuck is this? I still chew with my mouth open. Look. And he did, and then that was what he wanted to talk to me about.
Oh, God.
And he was 50, and I'm 50 now.
Well,
and you know what? He had created Seinfeld, and I'm living with my mother.
Well,
So there's that. It's like
Speaking of Larry David, you made another film that Larry David was in. You were in the Three Stooges for the Farrelly brothers.
Yes.
What would you like to say about that film?
Well, first of all, I enjoyed the movie very much. I thought if you're going to, I don't know about recreating something like the Three Stooges.
Well, Gilbert and I talk about that movie. I mean, the three guys were great.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to see. I saw it once. I saw it out of context, and I saw it on opening day, which bumps it up. You see something, or the premiere. You see something with the premiere. It's already like 40% better because everybody's like this. It's good. And I remember enjoying it, but I do remember when I walked on the set, I knew Sean, but I didn't know the other two guys, and they said, when you walk on the set, it's going to freak you out. And I went, okay, that's a cute thing to say. I'll remember that for when I do Cavett.
Yeah.
Or this
Good
show.
panel. It's a good panel. But listen, I walked on the set, and they were just guys dressed as the Three Stooges, and they snapped. They'd been working together for a couple of weeks before the movie started. They went into it, and I was taken aback. And I don't mean taken aback like taken aback. I mean like when you were literally taken aback. When you're literally taken aback, and you take a step back. That's what I took a step back. I was taken aback.
Yeah.
And it was really, really weird. I know Will Sasso, who played Curly, said the way he did it was he just imagined Curly like working a marionette. He said it was very clear. He's never ever done that before. It was strange. I never really talked to them about it. I just thought I'm not a huge Three. I was more of a Marx Brothers guy, but I loved the Three Stooges, and I was very, very aware of them. And I stayed at home and watched television. That's all I did as a kid, and I knew and they had it down.
The three guys were
They were amazing.
I just think making
great
a movie
mimics.
about something that's already burned. It is sort of like if you recast Blazing Saddles and just said we're going to do.
Yeah.
You'd be like, first of all, you'd be like, why?
Yeah, it was a tall order.
They've got those guys, but it was done with a lot of love. I think they listen. Nobody sets out to make something, but I remember we were.
You were the heavy. In the
I don't. Even when we made Sour Grapes, there's some things that they just don't cook. But everybody is there, and everybody's scared. And Larry David. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. I'm sure he's very happy to be the wealthiest man in the world, but I think what he really cares about is the next thing he does, that it's funny that he's doing, that he loves that. And so there was no cockiness, and he was working very hard, and it just didn't cook. For some reason, it didn't cook right. And but I don't know why. But the script, I mean, I'll give you the script. The script is laugh out loud funny.
I would like to read it, and I hope he makes another feature.
Well,
Yeah, I didn't like the Three Stooges movie.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm getting that.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something that I was going to be my guest?
Okay.
I'm sorry I brought it up.
No, you're not. This is that kind of show.
Yeah,
This is what
He would have preferred it with Sean Penn in the Larry part, I think.
Yeah, it was originally going to be made with Sean Penn.
funny.
Yeah.
Sean Penn as Larry.
Funny. Go ahead. Who else?
Benicio del Toro
Funny.
as Mo.
Doesn't get funnier.
And Jim Carrey as Curly. Which
The thinnest man
Yeah,
in the world.
yeah,
Thin
yes,
and tall.
yes.
And funny. And angry people.
yeah, I thought
They smoke.
I thought
They're angry.
It would have worked
Benicio
that way.
del
It's just
Toro
like
is
the
Mo.
weirdest film ever made type of thing.
It's like an Ed Wood
the Three
production.
Stooges?
yes, yes.
Well,
Yeah.
just recasting it and reshooting it, that would be entertaining.
Yeah.
I wish they would do that with certain movies.
Yeah.
It would be great to see something like The Swarm, and just if show business was just if The Swarm, which is
What a reference.
The Swarm, which is, do you remember The Swarm? Even as a little kid,
Michael Caine.
You're like, I think they're just blowing. They're just blowing styrofoam black chips. They don't
Yeah.
even look like they're flying.
It
It's
looked
just
like they
hunks
put-
of chips that just.
It looked like they made dots on the film, like with a pen.
Right.
They just had
Probably
someone
were
like
shooting over.
they had someone put ink in their mouth and spit it on each frame of film.
I think it was. I don't know. I would go, but it doesn't look like a swarm of anything, and
Yeah.
I've never seen a swarm
Oh,
of
it was-
anything.
it was-
But
yeah.
you looked at it and goes, "I'll tell you what a swarm looks like." Not that,
And
because it was just they would go.
But an all-star
Anytime you saw them
cast.
moving, they would arc and then shoot towards the ground.
And it sounded like some guy in a mic going zzz.
Well, that was Henry Fonda. That was towards the end, and he was just passing gas. It was his colostomy bag had a tiny
Henry
little hole in it.
Fonda's
That was
the
his
Swarm. You're right. Yeah. And
just awful.
Catherine Ross.
and
Michael
it was.
Caine.
It was just, ladies and gentlemen, bees and people who aren't dead yet. Like, we didn't have the Love Boat. They were like,
Gloria
we need to keep
Swanson
these
turn
people
up in this?
walking. Just keep them walking.
Is she in that, or am I thinking of the airport? One of the Gloria Swanson.
Oh, I don't-
It turns
oh,
up in, or
prob-
Olivia
oh, I
Olivia
don't
de
know.
Havilland. One of them's in the Swarm.
But
I have to look it up.
on the airplane movies, the airport movies.
Yeah,
Oh,
like they're
yeah.
not. They're not.
Do you
deep.
know
Irwin
Airplane?
Allen.
Do you know that Airplane wasn't a parody of those airport
was a
movies?
parody of Zero Hour.
Yeah.
0 Hour.
Yes. That I remember.
Let me say one thing that you don't know.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I got my mother's listening to this.
No, I remember catching 0 Hour on the Late Show, and it really is the exact same script.
Yes, they did.
Yes.
Even the fish, they're poisoned by the fish.
Yes. And I gave up the wrong day to quit smoking.
That's the
0 Hour.
Hilarious.
You know what I've been looking for, and I can't find anywhere is, and I did Scary Movie 4, not the stage production, I did the movie. I was there. I saw Glenn Ford do the original on stage.
The one with Sir Ian
and a
McKellen.
sex kitten named Lee Grant. It was her
Yes.
opening night. She
Lee
wowed Broadway.
Lee Grant was in The Swarm.
Was she?
She was.
I was in love with her. And Airport 77, the movie. I don't know who did the play, but I saw Airport 77 with Lee Grant. I thought that woman's sexy, and that was like the original MILF. I just thought, beautiful, so sexy.
That's the one with Jack Lemmon and
Jack Lemmon
and
with the
Jimmy
mustache.
Stewart.
Yeah.
The
He had marital problems, and then he ended up in a plane underwater.
Right, they pulled a plane up from
the
underwater.
Message.
Now, the funny thing with Airplane, it's based on a film nobody
0 Hour,
remembers.
which if you watch, you're like, it's as funny as Airplane.
Yeah. And it's based on a film nobody has to know about 0 Hour to laugh at Airplane. And yet, everyone trying to do a satire after Airplane, they want to make it exactly like a movie everybody knows about.
Yes. I don't know how that. Have you ever worked with them? The Zucker
No,
brothers?
no.
Of course not. I knew that. But they are top of the line. So let me tell no. But they had like a Bible, and of this comic Bible, which is basically the rules, and all the movies that copy that, like The Exorcist, all that. And even the ones that Leslie Nielsen did, like they had these rules about jokes that you're like, oh, that's right. But these other movies, you can see them breaking it left and right. Like, if there's a joke, if two people are talking in the foreground and something stupid's happening in the background, they had rules, they can't be talking about anything that moves the plot along, obviously, because the idea is they got to be looking at this thing. So you have to just have chatter that no funny names.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was all kinds
that was
of stuff like that. But there was stuff that was more complicated.
That was one of Lorne Michaels' rules when they launched Saturday Night Live. They called it the Walter Crankcase School of Comedy.
Oh, God, yeah.
No funny names of, the news anchor doesn't come on.
Big wigs, funny glasses.
Right.
These satires used to hire Leslie Nielsen. Figure, we'll hire Leslie Nielsen. We'll make it a parody.
Right, Repossessed. They did The Exorcist.
Oh,
Right.
horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Oh,
horrible.
and he was in one called 2001: A Space Travesty.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Well, the one
That's
for Brooks,
like-
the
yeah.
Brooks one isn't any good either. The Dracula Dead and Loving It.
No.
I mean, Airplane is such a funny title because it's such a secretly awkward word for the title of it. It's close to airport, but Airplane sounds so stupid for some reason.
And they started doing stuff in these satires where they'll go, well, we'll dress someone up like Leonardo DiCaprio in Titanic. We'll make it look like he's on the Titanic, and everyone will laugh because they saw the Titanic,
when
and
really,
that's what
just
we're
go
doing.
see the Titanic.
Yeah.
There was a moment in Titanic. I saw Titanic with a buddy of mine. Opening day at the Ziegfeld, packed, and everybody screaming. And I thought everybody was having the reaction I was, which is the boat's sinking. He just grabbed a hose. He grabbed a fire hose, and he's going to fight water with water.
Yeah.
That's what I said. And everybody's screaming and laughing, and I just assumed, fighting, what is this? It's ridiculous. And the person who was in front of us turned around and said, I hope you're satisfied. You ruined this movie for us.
You ruined the actual Titanic disaster.
Listen, this is one movie I didn't ruin. I'm not in that movie.
Yeah.
I'm not in that. He said, no, you're making smart remarks. I said, somebody making smart remarks, somebody. And everybody was like, yeah, why were you making jokes? The boat was sinking. The boat was sinking.
Yeah.
These two people were in love, and I was like, oh my God. I felt like I was in like the Planet of the Apes, or so. I really was looking around going, so they're all apes. They're all apes.
They're all apes.
Yeah.
I was hoping the two of them
And I think he's an unbelievably talented director. But now let me finish. James Cameron.
And easy to work for.
Actually, stunning
that's-
to look at, unbelievable to look at, and Terminator 2, the movie.
Hey, you just
Was
said
a
a
genius.
punchline of an old show business joke. Two agents are talking.
Yes.
Yeah. One
Which
says,
is great. So now you're going to tell the joke
yes,
and drive
yes,
the three people who are listening. further away from their podcast machine or whatever the fuck you listen to.
Only they had dials to turn down.
No, I'm tired of listening to
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something that your wife loves you very much, and there's no such thing as a podcast, and these are made of chocolate? Do you understand that nobody's hearing this? And that your parents pay her a lot of money to keep you off the ledge? That's what's happening. Go ahead. Go ahead. Tell me the setup.
Okay.
Jesus.
What's the joke?
Two agents or two producers are talking. One says to the other, you know who's the biggest bitch in Hollywood? Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep has no talent. She's mean. She's stupid. She even smells bad. And she fucks everyone in town. And the other one says, hey, Meryl Streep's my sister. And the other guy says, let me finish.
You know why you're a genius? May I? And I don't normally. And people throw that term around.
Yeah.
And I'm one of them.
Not me.
And I'm certainly throwing it around now. You're a genius because even though people saw the punchline coming, as far as you know, they stuck around to listen to you tell that joke. And that's why you're a genius. And I'm throwing that term around just like anybody.
Oh, God. Do you want to talk about The Music Man?
More than
No,
anything else.
I was never in it, no.
No.
Oh, you.
Yeah.
What would you like to talk about with the time that we have left?
That between the Music Man and the Cinderella Man, those are the two of the gayest sounding superheroes I've ever heard of, and I'm not even clear what either of their powers are. What are you doing? Oh, look at this list of names. Go ahead.
This card. Gilbert's going to ask you. Here, Gilbert. We're going to ask you about working with some of these people.
Podcasting. Go ahead.
All
Hashtag.
right. What was it like working with or fucking Dabney Coleman?
We don't have a lot of time, so try to
condense it.
Yeah.
Learning. Go ahead. Learning. Gentle yet firm. Learning. A discipline. Discipline administered over long, slow, aching yet hygienic experience. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
Next name.
What was it like working with or eating out Larry David's asshole?
We can cut out that last part.
What?
I stole that question from 60 Minutes.
Yeah,
we covered Larry.
We covered Larry David. We covered Larry David, and by the way, he's a genius. And people throw that term around, and I'm throwing it around. He's a genius. You should go see his play.
Fish in the
Dark.
Dark.
He's live on stage.
We'll give Larry a plug.
Yeah.
Okay, what was it like eating out Bob Newhart's asshole?
Now when she came up with Don Rickles. Now those two were they were roommates. They lived in the village, and they had a little, and they'd go out and they'd go to parties to be seen.
You were in Newhart.
Yes.
The second
Oh,
Newhart.
God, constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly. Well, it was all about, we didn't have anything to talk about. And I realized, you're not talking to anybody. Why are you always on the phone? You never talk to me. And he said, I'm working on material, but he didn't have a co-writer. I said, that's funny. He said, okay. And then
I heard that
he stole it from Shelley Berman. Is that
Yeah,
what
yeah.
you're going
Oh, I knew he was going to go there.
Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah, Shelley Berman was angry at Bob Newhart for stealing the phone bit.
Which is kind of funny when you say people talking on phones.
Georgie,
and
Georgie Jessel used to do that.
He did
thing.
it first.
Hello, Mama. This is Georgie.
But they didn't have phones.
Yeah, Georgie.
Well,
your son. Yeah, the one that sends you a check
ever address
every
it?
week.
Did you ever address it?
No.
I'll ask him about it at dinner. I'm not clear about that. Go ahead.
Do you remember Georgie Jessel's big hit song?
That was one of the albums that I was thinking of giving you.
Oh.
But what's the one that
bright and shiny light that taught me wrong from right. I found in my mother's eyes those fairy tales she told of streets all bright with gold. I found in my mother's eyes just like a wandering sparrow, a lonely soul. I walked till I reach my goal.
We should point out that Craig brought a gift. He's one of the only guests that actually brought you a gift.
Milt Kamen.
Yeah, he brought,
and then left.
Brought you a Milt Kamen album. Let's ask quickly about the Music Man, since you're talking about music.
Meredith Wilson's music.
You told me once that you had to audition for Meredith Wilson's widow.
That's right.
To get the part.
Oh, yeah.
And what was that like? Because you were going to be...
Have you ever seen Nunfuckers 3?
Because you were going to be compared to...
This time we're Catholicin'.
You were going to be compared
gold.
to Preston no matter what you
What's
did.
that? Yeah.
Because that's the... and it's such an iconic part.
Can I tell you something honestly? First of all, she was formidable. Mm-hmm. And I had to fly out to Los Angeles. She pulled up she was being driven in a Rolls Royce and just sat down with her prim little Nancy Reagan suit and went, okay. And I sat there in a rehearsal room, and I went, and I said, I don't know why I did this, but I guess I needed to. Listen, I need to control this room, so I just said, this is from Pippin, and I started singing "Corner of the Sky." And this was not an ironic lady; she just was staring at me. But that was what I did, and I just for some reason I was like, I own the room, so I just did what I did, and you know what? I was ready at 8. I listened to that album over and over and over again, and I was ready to go at 8. I learned the lines because I needed to learn the lines, but every song I had in my head, and there was a lot, my timbre was like that. But the way I auditioned was the way I did it, pretty much.
And there was always a little bit of Preston in your performance.
And there was a part of me that went, I wonder if I should break up and do the, and I thought, why? Like this is why I love it so much.
Right.
This is kind of what he made right choices. I don't need to go left.
So a little homage is okay.
It's better to, So, but you also can't, you can't imitate through a show. You can't do that. You have to connect. So the most important thing was I didn't think about what it said. I sang it and that's what came out. If I sang a Beatles song, I'd sing it like Paul McCartney. It wouldn't be the first time it would be very sad to hear me try to do that, but that's the way people know the music. They love it. You can't separate it. Mm-hmm. What I knew what I had to do, and I know for a fact the reason I got it was you have to ground the character, and they really have to be in this situation. The show doesn't work if it's just a collection of really great songs. It has to be this. If this guy doesn't go with this girl, if he doesn't realize that he's a snake, they're both going to spin into space forever. They're going to just be lonely for the rest of their lives. If you don't actually create that, and Rebecca Luker played Marion, she was brilliant. And if you don't have that connection and that isn't at stake, people won't watch it and it won't do well. And I think the reason the show was good was because Susan Stroman she directed the show very well. She didn't reinvent it, which they've done on Broadway, which is almost always a mistake and terrible. And but she did the show. Was very clear. It said you can't wink at the audience. That's in the script. You can't be Chevy Chase doing this. It has to be. You have to play it for real. And also, something had happened in her life. Her husband was supposed to direct it, and he passed away. And she mourned it, and within the year, took it over. And one of the most amazing things I've ever seen was she was directing Rebecca Luker. You know that song, Good Night, My Someone, Good Night, My Love? That song. And it was just Rebecca and she and me in the room, and Rebecca was singing the song, and Susan Stroman just stood up and said, will you excuse me for a second? Went outside, came back 10 minutes later, eyes were beet red, and she went, I apologize, continue. And I thought, shit, I can't fuck off at all. I can't screw around. She's mourning her husband. This song is just about one day I'll find the person. She did, he died. She's heartbroken and directing and working. I got nothing to complain about ever. I better bring it.
You were good in the part.
Thank you. That's all? That's it?
You were great in the part. You were great in the part.
That's it. I came all the way from Austin.
Yeah, yes.
No.
I don't care for anything.
No, I know. You didn't hear any of that story.
Yeah,
no, you snore?
No, I would stay.
Listen to the story do you listen to the podcast? I don't recommend it. But if you listen to the podcast, if you ever do have trouble sleeping, which you clearly don't, listen to the podcast. You snore through the whole thing. It's okay. I learned to talk around it.
We're going to wrap it up.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up.
But before we go,
let's start.
Yes.
I have to ask you about Bathing with Bierko and John Malkovich, which I'm going to say to our listeners, you can find online. Look for it. It's hilarious. How come you only did one episode, and how did you get John Malkovich to sit in the bathtub?
Well, that I can't. That I can tell you that we shared an agent. And that was a no. We shared an agent. No, we shared an agent. The agent said, "How about John Malkovich for this thing, Bathing with Bierko?" Because it was just an idea I had. And I'd been walking around with this idea for years, and I just thought, well, let's do it. And I told my agent, said, "What about John Malkovich?" And I went, "Okay." She said, "I'll call him. He's interested. He'll talk to you. You go to the hotel." And I was like, "What?" And I thought, like a birthday coming up? What is this? So I go over there, and it's John Malkovich. And I explained. He said, "So what is this?" I said, and I was very aware. I'm in a room with John Malkovich. This is my opportunity to work with him, and I'm about to say this. Well, we're going to be in a bathtub, and I'm going to bathe you and ask you questions. It'll be like Charlie Rose, except instead of a wooden table, it's a bath, as though talk shows are done. We'll never talk about the fact that I'm bathing you, and I'll just ask you questions. And he went, "Okay." And I went, "Let me say it again. I want to have said it again. Because eventually I would be bathing you, and I don't want to bathe you and have you go, why are you bathing me?" And I explained it again. He goes, "Yeah, I'll do it." And he showed up. We shot at Carrie Fisher's house. Yes, that Carrie Fisher.
Come full circle.
I didn't. I did not. And the bathroom was actually, if there was ever a bathroom where they should shoot a TV show, it had like a big floor, room for cameras, and there was a piano on the side. If you wanted to have Paul Schaefer, if we ever did. But anyway, we shot it. We shot for about an hour. We cut it down to about 2 minutes. And it's so weird. And I didn't even understand.
It's hilarious.
I was like, why is it funny? It's not. And we shot a second one with Richard Dreyfuss.
So a second one
Called
exists.
me while I was driving. I almost drove off the 405. He scared the shit out of me. Richard Dreyfuss. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And he said, "I'd like to do the show." He goes, "Now, I'm not going to take my shirt off." And I went, "Well," and I got production problems. I'm going head to head with Dreyfuss.
Why would he be in a bathtub without his shirt on?
Yeah, that's exactly. I said, "Well, the whole thing is like it's," and so we got him there, and the guy who I was working with, this guy Rob Cohen, said, the Jew, Rob Cohen said, it's like porn. You get him, just get the girl to Tarzana and into the hotel room. We'll get the shirt off. I don't even know what that meant. I have a feeling. So we got there. Now, Dreyfuss is there with his wife and his daughter. Now, I'm in a bath with Richard Dreyfuss between my legs. And his daughter and his wife are going, "Take your shirt off." He's like, "I don't want to take my shirt off." And I just thought, well, this, if nothing else, is a unique moment. And the show was funnier than the first episode. But that show, I didn't. Rob, the other guy, said, let's just show it anyway. And I said, it's funny because we had we had mashed potatoes and he was building mashed potatoes.
Oh, you did a Close Encounters.
Everything. He did
great.
Everything we asked. I asked him to do a scene from Jaws, and that's not a boating accent. I said, "But that's not the way you did it." He goes, "That's the way I did it." I said, "It's not as good." And we had all this great stuff. I said, "You were good in the movie. This just sounds like you're some idiot in a bathtub. Do it." And he was so funny. He was so game. But he had the shirt off. And I realized, the whole thing is just, it's awkwardness. It's just complete awkwardness. And I just thought, I want to do it one day, but it has to be two guys in a bath.
I think Gilbert will do it with you.
You know what? And that's the other thing is we realized that the show, that it can't be somebody who would do something like that.
It can't be somebody funny.
Gilbert, I guess because you would never be invited to do something like that. That's an argument.
You could go that way.
No. You know what? Well, listen.
There too gets back to those, how like in the airplane movies.
Yeah.
I think the studio said, we'll hire a bunch of comedians.
Yeah, that's why.
And they said,
That's
no,
right.
we want like
Play it straight.
these actors.
Isn't it amazing how you're like, oh, Jesus, every cliche down the line is true. You just said that. So one person even said, why don't you just put like soap suds all over him?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, because
Well,
why about underwear with hearts on it? They're like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
funny underwear.
Play it funny.
I'm like, oh,
so
God.
if we come to your apartment, there is footage of you in the bathtub with Richard.
Yeah.
Kaiser.
That's invitation only.
Okay,
stuff. But I do want to do the show. They still ask about it. They want to do it. There's a way that I want to do it, and but the dream guest is like Kissinger.
Oh yeah.
You know who was going to do it, and I'm saying this to shame him because he backed out. Was oh shit! Why am I the Satanic Verses?
Salman Rushdie.
Salman Rushdie is the nicest guy in the world, and a friend of Carrie Fisher's. Yes, that Carrie Fisher.
Who you fuck?
I did not. But Salman Rushdie.
Jennifer Aniston.
Salman Rushdie, but not the one you're thinking of. He was going to do it.
Fuck
then,
Mama Cass.
You're not interested that I was going to bathe Salman Rushdie? Is that this kind of show?
Fuck.
Don't mention writers.
Peggy Cass.
Oh God, Cass's ass. That's what we used to call. You going to the Cass party?
Did you
like an awning?
Did you?
It was like a.
Down?
It was like a.
Did you ever go down on Thelma Ritter?
Yeah, and you know what? That's why it was like a parking garage down there.
I'm going to plug Bathing with Bierko. Look for it online. It's brilliant,
and
I hope you do another one.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Did Wheezy from the Jeffersons ever blow you?
Well, define ever. And that's gold. You want to cut it there? You want to do a little...
Oh, God.
Come on.
Okay.
All right.
We're going to do what we should have done an hour ago. Wrap this episode up.
There's so much we could talk to you about.
Do you ever walk around and go, this interests me, because when I turned 50, which is... but do you ever walk around, like I remember looking at people when they were like, I don't know, 75, and go, why don't people, like, do you ever walk around, as I get older, I think, now I'm the age where if I have a heart attack, people would be disappointed. They go, but don't be surprised. No one would be surprised. Like a heart attack. Like the older you get, and then it's like, he was 50. Listen, he must not have been taken care of. Maybe he got a little... Do you know what I mean? Like the older... Do you have
know...
That? Like, how do 80-year-old people walk around going, Jesus! Or just go, what's that? What's that? What's that? Is this it? Is this it?
It's
like,
kind of like when you watch comedians get older, like when the Three Stooges would slap each other. And
Easy.
Oh, Jesus, you're going to hurt him.
Yeah. I broke my wrist.
Hey, Curly already had a
poking each other with their wrists.
Yes, stop hitting him.
You're stabbing me with your wrist.
Also, my friend, you have a charity that is very close to your heart.
Yes.
You would like to talk about.
Yes. Great choice of words. The pioneers of the first infant heart transplant. Baby with the bubble and the baboon heart, all that.
Really?
That was Loma Linda University Children's Hospital, and I visited their amazing people, and I just want to give them a plug because
Go ahead. Sure.
they don't ever turn away a child in need, and they can always use the money. So if you want to text KIDS, KIDS, at 27722, they will deduct $10 from your phone bill, and it will go straight. All that money goes to keeping Loma Linda University Children's Hospital open. And they're amazing people. Please do that.
Terrific. Loma Linda Children's Hospital. Kids 27722. All right, then, what's your favorite gag in Airplane? And then I'll ask Gilbert. Favorite physical gag or line?
That's a tough one. I don't know. I'd say one, and then on the train I'd go, fuck!
Pick one.
Why didn't it's the guy waiting in the cab? Why was it just the guy waiting in the cab? I should have said that. What kind of idiot says, I don't know. I don't remember. I remember watching the movie. I remember very clearly. I remember watching it and I couldn't breathe. And I remember I've never seen a movie where I'm laughing so hard I can't breathe. This is the way people sound on those 2,000-year-old man when it sounds like women when they're laughing like they're being stabbed.
Yes.
You can't tell the difference. Like that kind of nobody laughs like that anymore.
And that's another thing. Getting back to how they wanted to hire comics instead. It's like they hired Leslie Nielsen, who would make those kind of movies in his day. And then Leslie Nielsen started to realize he was funny.
And then he should never be doing those. And they kind of when they did the scary movies, these were the guys, or David Zucker, and I was like, why are you hiring anybody that's funny? I was mainly known for stuff that was. Maybe there was an argument for nobody watched any of the TV shows and they saw Cinderella Man, so you can do this. But they had funny, people who were known for being funny, and I just thought, or the guest stars, like the people who were like, visual jokes, and I just thought, who I like, who's an amazingly funny person, like Chris Elliott. I just thought
hilarious.
But he shouldn't be in because the minute you see him, he's funny.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Why we're angry about this though? We got angry.
We're talking to someone today. This is Gilbert Gottfried,
Jesus
and this is Shut the Fuck Up. This is I want to end the show so badly. I'm Gilbert Gottfried, and this is Gilbert Gottfried's Amazing Colossal Podcast with my co-host Frank Santopadre. We've been talking to someone who fucked Carrie Fisher.
No,
yes,
I didn't fuck Carrie Fisher.
Oh, you blew Eddie Fisher.
No, I went fishing with Eddie Bracken. Is it Bracken?
Eddie Bracken.
Eddie Bracken.
Yeah, that's it. And you
Eddie
heard it. You
Bracken.
mangled it up and scrambled it and made
I'm
it
so
dirty.
sorry.
Don't be potty funny. Nobody needs you to work blue. Why do you just be you? People like you. They want to
true.
meet you. There's nothing in there.
Would you like to say the guest name?
Pair of
Okay, Craig Bierko. Yeah, who is ashamed of his Jewish heritage.
Now, come on. That's not incorrect. Come on.
Thank you, Craig, for doing the show.
It's your mother who was ashamed of her Jewish
My mother's going to be ashamed of everything after this.
I hope she doesn't hear this.
Oh, God.